Hi, everybody. I'm Pierre Bouvard, Chief Insights Officer here at the Audio Active Group at Cumulus Media in Westwood One, and your audio ad is horrible. What to do? You're listening to your podcast ad, you're hearing your ad on the radio, and you realize it's pretty dull. It's just features and benefits, and someone sitting next to you says, "Now, who is that ad for?" Okay, so your audio ad is horrible. There is a lot of marketing effectiveness, insights, and best practices to help you fix your audio ad. Some of the key findings from a recent study from System One, the global leader in creative effectiveness, and the Effie's, the organization that devotes itself to marketing effectiveness. Number one, create ads with emotion using right brain elements. Brand early and often. Say the name of your brand in the first 2 seconds. Say it slowly. Make sure it appears at least 5 times in that 30-second ad, and make sure that it associates strongly not only to your brand, but to the product category that you're in. Sonic elements like a music or jingle really work. Limit the number of messages in the ad. Entertain for business gain. Audio ads need to have salesmanship, yes, but they need to have showmanship. Now, these findings are critical because creative is the biggest driver of sales effect. A major study conducted by Nielsen involving 450 different campaigns across all sorts of media reveals the number one driver of sales effect at 49% is creative. Next is the strength of the brand, which is kind of out of your control. It is what it is. And then you have media factors like reach and targeting and recency. Now, when Advertiser Perceptions surveyed 300 marketers and media agencies, here's what they think are the big sales drivers. And unfortunately, marketers vastly understate the power of creative and vastly overstate the effectiveness of targeting. So to the left of your screen is a recent study by Advertiser Perceptions earlier this year on what the perception is for the major sales drivers. You can see targeting is number one and creative is way down there. And to the right is the reality of what drives sales. So we need, as marketers, to realize we need to spend way more time on creative. Now, enter a fantastic new study debuted at the Cannes Festival for Advertising this past June in France, a study from System One and Effie on how creativity multiplies profit. So Effie is the dominant advertising competition that focuses on business results, not necessarily on how pretty the ad is, but it's about things like incremental revenue, profit, market share, new customers, loyalty. So they took this immense case library, they partnered with System One, the global leader in creative effectiveness, and really worked together to build all of these wonderful best practices that you can put to use for your campaign. Now, understand that this study, while it involved 1,265 brands, it wasn't just big, famous national brands. There were challenger brands, new firms with minimal market share. There were scale-up brands, folks ranking below third in their category. And then there were leading brands. So it was a nice, diverse mix of brands. Now, unfortunately, a lot of ads, especially podcast ads, feature very rational, dull copy with narrow targeting. And unfortunately, according to the Effies and System One, that yields the lowest profit. What yields greater profit? Campaigns with broad targeting and emotion-based creative. So let's look at these campaigns over time. The dotted line at the bottom in red, that's narrow targeting, low emotion. And what you're looking at here is what percent of campaigns reported a profit. And then the next line up is broad targeting, low emotion. That grows, does better over the 3-year period. But then the top two green lines, both dotted and solid, are campaigns with emotion. And you can see they do much better, even with narrow targeting An emotion-based campaign performs exceptionally well. But then when you open up the targeting to broad with high emotion, look at the proportion of the campaigns that reported a profit. Now, the other thing you realize if you go all the way to the left is, oh, we all need to be freaking patient, because as you can see within the first 3 months, I don't care what kind of campaign you're running, the likelihood of profit being generated is low. It's simply like saying, hey, I did 25 push-ups. How come I didn't lose all this weight? You have to be patient. And everything in life that's meaningful takes sustained effort over time. Now, how do you create ads with emotion? Well, according to System 1, you need right brain characteristics in your creative. Now, you don't need every single one of these, but these are the way that you drive greater sales effect. Characters with vitality, a story unfolding, a clear sense of place, unexpected contextual noise, sounds of a living, playing with words, distinctive accents, music with melody. That's how you drive emotion, and that's how you drive much greater sales effect. The godfathers of marketing effectiveness, Les Bennett and Peter Field, studied rational campaigns in gray, emotional campaigns in blue, and across every possible measure of brand equity, you can see the emotional campaigns build brands so much more strongly. What about business outcomes? Guess what? Emotion-based campaigns in the work of Bennett and Field, stronger sales, share, pricing, and loyalty. Now, all of the emotion in the world is meaningless unless consumers can associate the ad with your brand. And that's why branding early and often is crucial. In an audio ad, you need to get that ad in the first 2 seconds and a total of at least 5 mentions in the 30-second period. Now, here's a cool study out of Europe just for the world of TV. They looked at lots of different TV campaigns. The blue line here represents the number of times the brand was mentioned in the audio track. The gray represents the number of times that the logo, the visual logo, appeared. Now, you notice that after the first or second visual logo, no matter how many times that visual shows up in the TV ad, you're not seeing a big growth in brand recall. But look at that blue line. The more you say your brand in the audio track of your TV ad, your brand recall grows, explodes, and soars. So audio does all the heavy lifting in brand building in TV. And obviously for a podcast or a radio ad, it has to be lots of brand mentions early and often to make sure that that ad is associated with your brand. Nielsen has done thousands of podcast brand lift studies, and they have absolutely certified that the more the brand is mentioned in the ad, the greater the familiarity, affinity, and likelihood to seek information, and shockingly, higher ad recall. The greater proportion of people that remember your ad. Brand early and often. And in terms of creative elements, System 1 and Effie in their research found that sonic devices, an audio logo, a brand character, or a jingle ensured strong brand linkage. So down the left here are all the different creative factors, and you can see the likelihood that brand awareness would be lifted. And again, audio is what's driving brand equity, a sonic asset, a logo in context, a fluent character like the gecko, and a jingle. All right. However, remember at the beginning, we were talking about the ad that went on and on with features and benefits. Unfortunately, Kantar Millward Brown says that the more messages you have, the less likely folks are to remember any of those messages at all. So fewer messages, you get higher recall. So an ad with 4 different messages, you can see the index of recall for those messages is dwarfed by ads that just have one key message. So limit yourself, prune and edit. Another key finding from System 1 and Effie is entertain for business gain. We are in show business in podcasting and audio and radio. Our ads should have show business too. So if you make your ads more entertaining, watch your share growth improve. And from System 1, we see 4 kinds of campaigns, small, medium, and large. The pink represents campaigns that were least entertaining, the gold campaigns that were most entertaining, and you're looking here at share growth. So if you make your ad more entertaining, regardless of the size of your budget, you're going to see greater share growth than dull ads. And humorous ads work. System 1 reveals with their star rating, which is a 1 to 5 emotion-based scale of 5 or to 1 stars, that funny ads score better and drive greater market share growth. Paul Feldwick, in his book, Why Does the Peddler Sing? What Creativity Really Means in Advertising, says, embrace the idea that advertising is at least as much about showmanship as it is about salesmanship. Advertising builds brands best when it's entertaining, popular, and memorable, when it's not just a pitch, but it's a performance. Howard Luck Gossage, an advertising visionary called the Socrates of San Francisco, said the buying of time and space is not the taking out of a hunting license on someone's private preserve, but we are renting a stage on which we may perform. So from the System 1 FB's major study, 6 really useful audio creative best practices: use emotion, use right brain elements, brand early and often, use sonic elements, music and jingles, you limit the number of ads to drive up recall. We're in the entertainment business. Our ads should be entertaining. You drive more market share the more entertaining your ad is. And remember, ads need to have salesmanship, yes, but also showmanship. The Audio Actor Group here at Cumulus Media in Westwood One is a full-service national brand advisory, and we partner with clients to measure impact, whether it's sales effect, search and site attribution, or brand lift. And we also do a lot of creative testing. And each and every week, we publish a new audio case study. You can find it on our blog at cumulusmedia.com or westwood1.com. And when you're there, sign up to get the weekly audio case study sent directly to your email box. Thanks so much for the opportunity to review a lot of new strategies from System 1 and Effie's on how to enhance and improve your audio creative. Thanks so much.